I don't know, I'm not.
Everybody else has got stuff going on too.
Yeah, oh, I hear you, I hear
All
you.
right, good morning. If you both please stand with us to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, it is October 14th. This is the Broadwater County Commissioners meeting. And before we get started, we have a little bit of housekeeping that we always do. We have a Broadwater County public meeting policy, also known as the civility policy. We follow Robert's Rules of Order. The purpose of this policy is to open Broadwater County public meetings to all county citizens. We realize we have a fiscal and fiduciary responsibility to conduct business as efficiently as possible for all Broadwater County residents. Commission meetings are recorded and are on YouTube, so please state your full name prior to public comment for the record. Any separate conversations need to be removed and conducted outside. Outbursts will not be tolerated. Public comment will give each citizen who wishes to speak 3 minutes to do so, and all comments will be directed to the board chair. So with that, first thing on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any public comment? Kev?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this request for proposals for this building work is not good. It's so vague that you're gonna end up with a subpar building and you'll be nickel and dime to death for extras. In here it states, electrical work for both buildings, plumbing work for both buildings. It's vague. There's no spec book. There's gotta be a spec book. It's gotta be specified what has to go into this building as per electrical, as per plumbing. The state will not issue me nor a plumber a commercial permit until I have a set of drawings that are stamped by an engineer, and then they can issue a permit for the building part. I have that number for that building part to pull the electrical permit and the plumbing permit. If you guys were to proceed with this, I foresee you having bid ranges from $100,000 to $500,000. And obviously you guys are gonna probably take the lowest bid. You're gonna end up with a subpar building that is not going to meet code. So in the end of it, they're gonna nickel and dime you guys to death on extras. Because it was not in the plans, but we have to make it code. So then they'll bring it up to code, charge you another $2,000. Well, this wasn't code, that wasn't in the plans. We gotta make it code, there's another $2,000. It would be in your guys' best interest to, if you don't wanna pay for I understand cost is an issue, but in the end, it's gonna cost you twice as much if you don't have a set of drawings. My suggestion is to get a hold of contractors, whether they be local, uptown, whatever you guys prefer, ask for their input on it. Every one of them can do drawings, every one of them can get a stamp by an engineer. So, the only other thing that you guys need to come up with as a whole is some sort of a spec book. It's gotta be fair across the board. If I'm bidding against Joe Blow, we have to bid on the same light fixtures, the same type of wiring, the same panels. I do have the Duck Creek Fire Station plans from way back when, and in here there is somewhat specs on electrical and plumbing. If you guys would like to keep these and look through it, you're more than welcome. But I highly recommend you reject any and all bids that come in by the 23rd. It's going to be very unfair per each bidder. So if you guys, I can show you too.
I'd like to add in on this one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's step back in the past a little bit. We've talked about this, we had meetings on this. for modulars, and that's how it was supposed to be, modulars and pole barns. I understand we need them, I've done a lot of commercial building. One person in the commission asked for a stick building. We don't have specs, they're refusing to want to get engineering. So this is all I had to work with, which
Right,
it
right.
lays on one person's lap because this is where I'm at.
Yep,
And I've gotten a lot of flack over this because of that.
yep.
I'm pissed off. I
Yep.
tell you, I'm mad. I'm mad in hell's you. You're the one who caused a lot of this problem.
On how?
Because you demanded, you wanted stick building, and you have friends saying that people can build this stuff for $40,000.
We were talking about the
Impossible.
whole building.
You gotta have prevailing wages. You can't do it that
Absolutely.
cheap.
Point of order.
You cannot do it that cheap. And this is where I've been laid at. The only thing we have is modular, because you can't beat modular pricing. And, I mean, you know that, and I know that. Pole barn pricing, you can't beat pole barn pricing.
The
There's no
only
way.
thing with the modular part is it's got to meet commercial specs.
It does, and they
So-
all meet commercial specs. That's where you have a problem. I have had a problem, I've been beat up over this by contractors, because I can't give specs.
And it
And I
is,
understand exactly what
Yep.
you're talking about.
the spec book is utterly the most important part of the whole thing. Anybody can come up with set of drawings. Tri-Rivers, Vogel's, Baldy Mountain, they can all do their own drawings and take their drawings, they have to have elevations, they have to have a layout. They take them into an engineer, and you can even get it done by a civil engineer. Take it in there, they can stamp it. As soon as it's stamped, that set of plans can go to the state and be approved for a commercial permit. If you did not have any of that and you tried to do this, the second I go online and try to pull the electrical permit, first thing it asks me, commercial permit number. If I don't have a commercial permit number, you cannot get a permit. Same with plumbing too. The plumbing has to have a commercial building permit before you're allowed to hold one. The spec book, this right here, this is very similar to a spec book. It specs out the lighting fixture number, what type of fixture it is, and equivalent. So if I go in there and I bid out just keyless light fixtures, and then Brecker comes in there and he bids out this light fixture, he's gonna be way higher than me. I'm gonna be way cheaper than him. I'm gonna go in there, throw them in there. You guys ain't gonna be happy with the lighting. It's gonna be subpar. It ain't gonna meet code. So then I'm gonna turn around and say, well, because it wasn't in the spec book or in the plans, I gotta bring it up to code. There's another $2,000. So by having something set in place before, it's an insurance policy for the county. If this is set in stone right there, I have to do it as per that. The building has to be as per that. This here, there is no as per that on this. It's very vague. I mean, it's so vague that you guys could end up with a dilapidated building that's gotta be tore down. So my suggestion is, get a hold of some contractors, invite them in here, see what they can come up with for drawings. Get all the drawings together, you guys meet, you guys pick one drawing. That drawing goes out to everybody that's bidding it, but you also need to come up with some sort of electrical layout, and
You're
I
gonna
would
have to pay,
leave
you're gonna have
this.
to pay for engineering.
You're,
You have to pay for engineering to get your
Yep.
engineer to spec it out.
yep.
And that's where I'm running into a problem. They don't wanna pay for engineering.
The engineering, I will tell you right now, whatever that cost is, you guys are gonna save that in the end. Because without engineering, and if you just kinda let this float, you're gonna spend that $20,000 or $15,000 like that.
Yep. Planning board was not wanting to do engineering. I went to a planning board meeting. Franklin didn't wanna pay for engineering. He wanted stick building prices, but how can you give stick building prices without engineering?
Yep.
That's exactly what I've been running into.
It's a necessity.
And then, just to add a little bit, we do have an engineer working on this. He
Yep.
has not engineered any drawings because he has been going another direction. In order to open this up, he actually called a number of contractors locally. I don't know if he called you or not, it was
No.
Sean Higley,
No,
and nobody returned his phone calls. They were people who'd come here to complain early on in the process.
Sure.
This was an attempt to open it up to contractors to put something together to bring an argument forward that contracting stick build could beat a commercial, ready-to-go modular.
Right,
It's something that's been used for, surrounding counties.
yep,
So that was actually our county engineer that put that together with Mike and said, you know what? At this point, it's up to the contractors to put together a
Right.
package and come forward with that. But let's give them every opportunity to do that, open this up to as many as are interested. So it really is putting the ball in the contractor's court. What we're trying to do on this end is meet some very serious needs that we just can't continue to kick the can down the road
right,
while trying to work with obstructionists who don't want us to do anything, who don't want us to spend any money, who don't want us to get any engineering, including the county engineer. So we're trying to walk this tightrope in
Right.
between of
right,
getting the job done and trying to minimize this fight that's based on lies that we've been
Right.
dealing with for 2 years now.
Not really other.
So,
Just a
and
plan to come
the
out.
fact that,
yeah,
excuse me, Franklin, the fact that Mike has taken so much flack on this is unfair to our employee. That is a hostile work environment, and
Yeah.
it's not okay, and I'm not saying that you've done any of it.
right, right,
But we totally understand where you're coming from too. It's just, that's the best route we could come up with to try and address the issues,
sure.
still saving money and doing things as least expensive as we can.
Well, and the only part I think is wrong right now is that it's put out for bid. And in all fairness, like I said, you're gonna get bids from $100,000 to $500,000. That's, I
And the only
guarantee
bids
it.
you're gonna get, they're gonna be,
Yep,
they're gonna match anything on here,
yep.
be pole barns and
Yep.
modular.
And in fairness, if anybody with any clout should be able to build a building to commercial specs, irregardless of what they have sitting in front of them. However, the plumbing and the electrical are two that can be so far apart that, I could lose out on it because somebody did residential grade stuff that's going in there and Romex that's going in there. And I could have bid the best light fixtures, the best plugins, the best wiring methods. They're gonna get it over me because their price is obviously gonna be cheaper. So, in fairness for bidding, you've got to have something on a piece of paper that says, we want these lights, we want these plugins, we want this type of wiring, and no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It has to meet them specs. It makes it fair across the board.
So Mike, can you address, if we were to go with a modular, if that was indeed the least expensive, or a full building, as far as the electrical and the plumbing and the sewage needs for the buildings, well, sewage would only be for one, but can you address, that would be done locally, correct?
Yeah.
Can you address that for KIF, how that process would work
Well,
for
the
those individual
modulars-
portions?
Mod-
If it was a modular, that would be simple on plumbing and electrical. That'd be simple. I mean, you gotta hook power up to the building, you gotta hook plumbing up to the building. This big building, the 60 by 100 though, if it falls with that modular, yes, you can have a fair bid or whatever on that for the subs. That big building though, there's got to be specs on it.
Yeah,
In
the only thing,
fairness.
only thing in the big building, other than the building itself, is electrical.
Yep,
And
Yep.
it's just basic, you gotta stay with the commercial code.
but what do you want Romex in there? Do you want EMT? Do you want
That's
MC?
up to that's where I come into the problem with electrical.
See,
Yeah.
and without it being spec'd, it's unfair, it's an unfair bid to anybody that's bidding it, because you can't use two different things. to come
That's
up
why
with
you
the
need
same
to hire
price.
an engineer to draw it up and give you the spec book. And
Yep.
it won't, I was not allowed to do that.
Right,
Keep it, that's the first I've seen of those.
and how that typically works
That's the
is,
same principle we had when we were all sitting here talking with Sean.
Yeah, we've had those brought to us
Went by that
multiple
one time,
times.
but I never saw anything after that. There was that one picture of the storage building.
yep,
And we've had the drawings
that's the
as
same
well
one.
here in these meetings.
That's
as
never
well.
changed, that drawing in
No.
the building.
Not at all.
so, if it turns out that the modular is cheaper, yes, that's a simple bidding process there. The big building though, it's not. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you've got to have some sort of a spec book on it. And it has to, an engineer's gonna have to spec it out, and then anybody can bid it as per that spec book. That way you come across with a fair bid from everybody, and obviously you can take the lowest bid because it was spec'd out.
And we can definitely take this meeting, the YouTube, to the county engineer, get his opinion on that,
Yep,
and see what he has to say. If that is something that needs to be readdressed, we can certainly do that. Again, it goes back to that tightrope and trying to work through an obstructionist group who's just saying no to everything. How do we get the job done while still trying to fight this fight with people who don't have any desire to just do the job?
right.
So,
I-
you know, you guys are caught in the middle, our employees are caught in the
Yep.
middle, it's a real mess.
Yep,
We appreciate you coming forward, Karen,
Yes.
really.
yep. Well, it's an insurance policy, and the bottom line, it's an insurance policy for the county by having it spec'd out. Because you're gonna end up with garbage possibly by the time the building's done and be unhappy with it, and then turn around and have to pay somebody else to come back in there and fix it, so.
That's what we're trying to avoid,
Yep.
because we've got that already with
Yep.
the, another building.
Yep,
So yeah, we're aware of how important it is to get this all done right. And that's the reason that we will pass this back to the county engineer, get his input on that, and I'll ask him to give you a call as well.
okay.
We have a
There's
contact
nothing.
that we can, yeah, we do. We can give to Sean. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I got.
All right, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
You
Ken.
bet. Is Mike gone? Okay, any other public comment? Public comment? All right.
We'll see you ladies.
Montana Minute. Franklin, you have anything good to say about our community or our state?
Good fall weather.
All right, Elaine.
You know, it is good fall weather. My favorite color is October. The farmers are busy getting grain in, they're cutting hay, working cattle, and the sun has shined well on it.
I attended a meeting, a conference last week, the Crime Prevention Conference put on by the Board of Crime Control. We had a record turnout again, fantastic speakers. There was a live shooter exercise at Fort Harrison. Just really a fantastic conference. When you understand money, you know that prevention is roughly 1/7 or 1/10 the cost of reactionary. So preventing crime, of course, not only saves money, but saves on having victims, and so many of the other things that you have to deal with when there is an awful crime. So it was an excellent conference. We had some people from the county attend, which I was extremely happy about. Excuse me, and also some commissioners attend. I've been working for a couple of years to get commissioners more involved with crime prevention, so that there's a better relationship between the money side of local government and law enforcement or public safety side. So we did have some commissioners attend, which was fantastic. And so I just want to say kudos to Board of Crime Control and their crime prevention conference. The Lifetime Achievement Award went to John Potter, who was
No, John Connor.
John Connor, thank you. Thank you, yeah, John Connor,
Sorry.
who's been to Townsend a number of times, but he took the lead in 1993, along with Nick Murnion, in fighting the Freemen of Jordan. So it was timely, and it was incredibly positive that he was the recipient of that award. So that's all I've got. Any other Montana minutes?
I saw you on TV, you know, the award.
Oh, you did? Oh, he's an awfully nice man.
He is.
Yeah, that's the biggest pleasure of being chair, is getting to give that award. We had 3 regional awards. One was given to Valley County for some of their very innovative ideas in the area of law enforcement. And then we also have a crime prevention agency award. So pretty spectacular week.
Elaine, isn't that John Connor, the same one that prosecuted the Beckworth case, the homicide case? Same John Connor. That's what I thought.
Because I served on the jury of that, and
Yeah.
he was here. Also a team
I didn't know that.
just PS.
He's a spectacular man.
Yes.
Yeah, Montana's lucky to have him. So any other Montana minutes? 10 minutes, all right. So it is a little after 10:15. Brian Hone, Solid Waste Monthly Update Decision, come on up. Good morning.
Morning. It's been a while since I've been here. You guys skipped me on the agenda last month, so.
I'm sorry about
Not
that.
that I'm complaining,
We had Dana on twice, so,
he probably deserved it. About the only thing that I have going on other than just business as usual is the fall trash has kind of slowed down a little bit. But the lawn cleaning is picked up and we get a lot of garden stuff in there. That just makes the deer happy up at the transfer stations. They're eating well. I looked the other day to see how we're doing as far as last year, since we started on with the recycling effort in about January of last year is when we took that on totally. And total trash, we're down just a little bit, about 2% reduction in trash. From January to the end of September, there's a 67-ton difference. If you can call that a true reduction, I don't know if, maybe it's just the way things work out, but we were busy this summer with trash, but it's nice to see that little reduction. And on the other side of that, we've, since January, we have pulled 84 tons of material out of the waste stream. With that, there's 72.5 tons of cardboard, 8.5 tons of plastic, 2 tons of plastic film, and 1 ton of aluminum. So
What is plastic film?
plastic film is anything that's not hard plastic,
Okay.
like the paper bag or plastic bags, Walmart bags, that kind of stuff. We pull that out, separate it from the hard plastic, and bale it up. So, you know, we've pulled 84 tons out. We've seen a reduction of about 67 tons in trash. So that's about a 2% reduction from where we see when we were at a year ago. If you put dollars to that, that 2% reduction in trash is about about $3,600 savings. But then you look at, in tipping fees, that's what it would cost us to get rid of that. So, you know, all in all, if you combine the two sides of the equation, we saved about $6,200 with the revenue that has come in and the money we didn't spend for putting that in the trash. So.
Good job.
Does that include personnel time, gas, wear and tear?
It includes fuel on the disposal side. Labor, I didn't factor that in because he's on the clock anyway. He'd either be hauling trash or he's working with plastic or cardboard. You know, it's not a huge savings, but it's a savings nonetheless. You know, over time, that's a fair amount of change. And as we continue to grow the program, I think we could see that better used. You know, when I started out with the taking on the recycling, I figured it'd be about a half-time job. I've seen it be more of about a 3/4 time job. Just because we've expanded. We went from only collecting it at the city site in Winston to collecting at Winston, Raidersburg, and Toston. We would like to be able to do that at all our sites. We don't see a lot of cardboard from Dry Gulch, and I think that's because the people who live on that side haul it into town. And that's fine, that's exactly what we want them to do. But we've also seen an increase in requests from the business community wanting to do something with their hardware. They don't mind recycling it, they want it to be simpler, whether that be have a container at their establishment that we go around and pick up. That's one option. We use trailers. If we get canisters at Toston and Raidersburg, they'll free up a couple of trailers, we could drop one off there, kind of like we do at the town pump. We have one there that we just pull out weekly and empty it for them, and then place it back. Whether we would, that's another place where we can look at more revenue from the recycling side is, charging a fee for that service. I think there's businesses that would be willing to do that. There might be others that aren't. Then we just ask them to haul it to the city site for us. So it's a program that started on the grassroots side of things. They tried to make a business out of it, but at a whopping total of $6,000 a year, you really can't justify that as a standalone business. So it's a place where I think the county is doing things the right way and providing that service to our citizens, and it offsets the cost of running a department. So we're doing the best we can with what we have to work with. And, we've done it. We don't have our baler in a building. We'll see how that goes through the winter. It's going to be hard to bale cardboard in a blizzard. We probably won't do that. We'll have to manage around the weather, which we've done already with the winds that come up in the summer. It becomes an exercise in futility to try to bale cardboard in the wind. Either you need to get a bigger guy baling, or just not do it. And we have used canisters to make a wind block and that kind of thing. I think down the road we'll probably have to put something there, some kind of a structure to cut the wind off that baler and prolong its life. And running it outside is not the best thing for it. So, but it can be done. And that's about it. Everything else is going on good. We've had some folks taking some vacation time and that kind of thing, so we're managing that. That was part of the reason for bringing on a third person too, so we could do that kind of thing. And not come into a pinch every spring when it's a use it or lose it type situation. So, any questions?
Not for me, no. We ask you to do as much as you can with very little, and we appreciate those efforts.
We're just waiting to get our approved budget so we know where we stand and what we can afford to do.
I can get you that today, yeah.
All right?
Any questions, Brian?
No.
All right, well, thank you
You bet.
very much.
Have
I'll
fun.
email you that budget,
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, 10:30, our appointment with Julie Surstad of RMDC Hospital to Home decision is canceled for today. That will be tabled until, did we decide on next week or?
I have to get hold of Julie and see what works best.
Okay, all right, until further notice, it's tabled, all right. All right, we will do some mail then until 11. This is for the airport, but I wanted to just, it was brought to or sent to the commissioners, so I thought I'd give that to you guys to look at if you care to read it. We can make copies, otherwise we'll send it on to the airports.
I do want to look at it.
That can either be just kept downstairs, kept after the meeting today, or again, can make copies if you want. We also have Newsline, this is a newsletter of the Montana Department of Transportation. we also have from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, an update on some different projects that they are working on. Just some, general information, we each got this is yours, Elaine. Franklin, I put yours in your mail. I put yours in your mail too, and then, decided I'd just bring it up to the meeting, but Franklin's was gone. So that's why I just have yours.
Thank you.
I'll give you that. We also have LTAP Matters newsletter. There will be traveling meetings of the Montana Rural Water Systems. This is from the Montana Rural Water System, Inc. And this is an invitation letter with an RSVP. Went to this last year. It's extremely interesting and very informative.
There's not one in home, huh?
No, probably the closest for us would be Bozeman. That's the same as last year. And I think this is for Tammy.
As I go out to that county, real quick.
Yes. And for just mail, we also have finally from the Broadwater County Planning Department. This is a letter that we asked them to put together regarding the Heidecker case. And this is an email and a letter from Ron Elliott,
Okay.
planning board member.
You know, a delayed Montana minute, I just have to say hats off to the highway department for the Highway 287 improvement up there. That is very, very nice.
Yes.
Thing I don't understand is why didn't they make a turn lane for LF Long Road?
There is.
Well, the quarter circle road there is, but the next one up,
Oh, no,
and they were at that.
I don't think it's near the traffic that Quarter Circle does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there's another way into that place.
in the emails we've seen before and have discussed, the planning board, with this letter, and states, which I think is interesting, that, in this court case and specifically dealing with any land subdivided, it is apparent this ruling is troubling as the ruling has generated a number of requests to Department of Revenue, for one, not only in Broadwater County, but statewide from subdivision developers for a refund of overpayments identified in this case and other counties. So we have kind of the first step put together. We have asked Nicole to step in and work with the subdividers to put together what they need. And I do think that their idea of, every step with the county attorney, she's been involved, but perhaps they sit down in a meeting with her and Nicole to solidify what the process is would be a good idea.
Is it 2 copies of that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
What do you guys think?
I think that's a good idea. Have her involved.
And she has been involved, I'm just thinking a sit down here in a public meeting to solidify the process.
Mhm.
Is that agreeable to you too, Franklin?
What's that?
Did Nicole come and sit down and talk to us about the process?
That we
Oh,
follow
I'm
the
just-
planning
I'm
board's
checking.
suggestion to have a sit-down public meeting with Nicole and the county attorney to solidify the process for how we will address this based on the last paragraph of page 1 of that letter.
What's what I'm getting to here now?
You actually passed the first page. Is that agreeable to the entire commission?
By me.
I'm okay with it.
All right, then I will schedule a meeting, working meeting with Carla and Nicole when they're available. Carla's seen and vetted the letter at this point from a couple months ago now. So this will just be to make sure that we have a solid plan on what we're doing moving forward.
And I
Okay.
think we're gonna see more of this.
Oh, yeah, there's no question about that. The time to make, have questions is prior to making any missteps, so just wanna make sure that we're
Is this
diligent.
going in the file or what?
Mm-hmm, yeah, we keep all those downstairs,
Okay.
and if you wanna take it, you certainly can.
No, it's probably best to keep them all together. But I might come and make copies.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, so that is the end of the mail, just the reading
Minutes.
mail. Oh, thank you. I'm taking care of these first. I have the minutes of June 6, 2014. I'd entertain a motion. What did I say? June, wow, I'm way off. October 6, 2014.
I'll move for approval.
What is that now?
These are the minutes mailed out last week or the week before.
Do we stand for an addition in there?
Excuse
What
me?
is it?
Do we stand to put an addition in? As I asked you, do we stand to have an addition put to the minutes?
What addition we've asked? What do you want to add?
On those directors?
Yes, did you bring those today? I forgot to ask. Did you bring them?
A little story on that. You told me about that, so I thought, maybe I missed something. So I went back, my bag went through everything that, when you check in, they weren't there. And I got to thinking, at the banquet, they introduced about 12 or 15 commissioners. That was their last conference they're gonna be at because they're retiring out and things like that. So I thought, there's not gonna be any. So I called Mako just to be a, so I was right. Sure enough, they're not gonna be made out till after the first year. So I don't know what you come up with on these directories that I'd picked them up.
Well, you actually signed for something. What did you pick up? Karen told me that there was a packet that you had signed for and that you would be giving them to Elaine and I. What did you pick up that you signed for? I assumed it was the
bag that everybody
directories.
gets.
No, you
everybody
picked
sign?
up Broadwater Counties on behalf of the full commission. You signed for it.
Well, there wasn't anything in there that I had.
All right, I'll follow up with Karen and bring that back next week as to what
But I want that
was.
on record. What I just said. It doesn't have to be that long, but.
It
And
could
we'll-
actually be in this week's minutes.
Huh?
It could actually be in this week's minutes.
It will be in this week's minutes, I can't change what was in last.
No. And also we'll have in there, that we'll be contacting Karen to see exactly what was signed for and follow through on getting whatever information we were supposed to get. So regarding the October 6 minutes, do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to adopt the minutes of October 6, 2014. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Ann. All right. And we have a couple of claims, if you could please sign those so we can put them in the file.
Cheryl and I were not able to go through the claims last week because with Debbie gone, Tammy was doing payroll and was not able to get it finished, so we'll do that this week whenever Cheryl's available. Is Debbie back?
No, not yet. All right, for this one claim, this is, again, for the ambulance building, this is the water sewage garbage for $64.80. We've been paying this out of PILT.
I'd say continue on.
All right, is there a second to the motion?
I'll agree with
It's
that.
been moved and seconded to pay the $64.80 for the ambulance building. All of those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, and then we have a request from the trust board with a note from Debbie. It says, please see attached letter from trust board. Can you please get this through ASAP? Thanks, Debbie. Dated October 9, 2014, the Broadwater Trust balance at First Premier is above the threshold amount. The Broadwater County Trust Board members voted on October 8, 2014 to transfer $100,000 from that account to the Trust Board county account as soon as possible. Broadwater County Trust Board requested the Broadwater Commissioners make this request immediately. So, I will give you each a copy of the letter.
Also moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to grant the request of the Broadwater County Trust Board to remove $100,000 from the trust balance at First Premier and transfer that to the county account. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
For the public, you might tell what the threshold is.
The,
And why.
all right. Let's vote. All right, the Broadwater County Trust Board is funded by the cabin sales around Canyon Ferry Lake. This was done 10 or so years ago. They have an account where that money went into an account that is held by First Premier Bank, and anything over the $2.5 million corpus is to be used in Broadwater County for specific purposes, that being recreation. So anytime they get above the $2.5 million, they're able to take money out put it into a county account that is just for the trust board,
Thank you.
and they grant requests with that money. Money has been used for Rod and Gun Club, Broadwater Bay, the soccer field, baseball fields, softball fields,
Save the saddles.
Save the Silos. So that's where that money is right now. They're above the 2.5 million, so they're pulling another 100,000 out. And I'm gonna give this back to whomever put that back in the pile, and this to whomever put it back in the pile. And this is also
I did.
yours.
Oh, okay.
Any questions on
Did
the
you
trust
copy
board?
this?
I put the original in Aaron's pile, and I'll just take the copy.
Okay.
Any questions on that? All right. And put this here too. All right, with that, we are a little bit early for our 11 o'clock, but I do have a question for you guys. There were a couple of emails on this subject sent out last week. It is regarding the pay for the DES position. Mike did accept over the phone, but he wants more than the $20 per hour. We offered him that as an interim DES coordinator when he stepped in to assist when the position was vacated. As a permanent employee and someone who would now have responsibility for the decisions he makes regarding DES, the floodplain mitigation, the mitigation grants, Homeland Security, that kind of thing, he would like to make the upper scale of the offered salary, which is still about $2 less than we were paying the previous DES coordinator, and that's $23. He did email a letter to us all. Is that agreeable to the commission?
I'm fine with that. I think he does a great job. He's got the experience and the know-how. And,
He was a DES coordinator before. He does have many years' experience. What do you think, Franklin?
Well, yeah, because he should be, I assume, getting the same as what Flyner did.
Well,
no,
this
Or
is-
he'll have a 6-month probationary.
All positions do.
Yeah,
This is about $2 an hour less than what it was to the previous DES coordinator. But we did not advertise the position at making more than 23 an hour. So we cannot really go above 23 an hour at this time. We will be eligible for a 6-month probationary
Right.
increase, as all new employees are.
I'm
So,
fine with that.
okay,
yeah, I do.
And I didn't get the email because of my computer.
right, yeah. So can I get a vote on that to make it official? And
I so move.
Yeah, second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to offer the starting pay for the DES coordinator at 23 an hour. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Is that including the 6-month probationary? Do you need that in the
No.
motion?
No.
Is it automatic?
It's not automatic, but it is in the welcome letter. It's past practice, we do it with everybody.
Right, I know it.
Yep, so it is best practices.
No, second.
Okay, it's been, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, and that is split with the state, 50/50, so taxpayers pay about half of that. And with the grants he brings in, much like some of our other departments, that he actually pays for his salary through those grants. And that's true of public health, victim witness, a number of other department positions. So, thank you, I will let him know. And we are almost at 11 o'clock. Since it is one of those things that's just a lot of homework time, I'm gonna go ahead and start a little bit early. And our agenda does say these items, issues and times are subject to change. So with that, we have the adjusting journal entries for August. These are delivered on a almost daily basis from the clerk and recorder's office. I go through them in our office as they come in. They're added to our mail.
I would like Doug to come and tell us what's happening with Merlin. Is it getting any better?
Okay, do you want that on the agenda?
I think I do,
Okay,
because I see here, last month they made 71,000 off of us for Merlin, and so
when would you like him to come in?
whenever's convenient for him.
Okay, do you want to follow up with him and have him set something up?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I mean, Merlin has been a headache for the state since it went in.
Yeah, day one.
So do you know, Ann, is it working better? Or do they still have hiccups?
There's, to my knowledge, there's still issues with it. I think it's getting somewhat better.
And I think it'll always hold that same stigma of being a program that, because it started off so bad, will
Mhm.
never be one that works.
No, I think you're right. Is Black Mountain up and running?
Not yet. Do you have anything that you can share with us on that at this point, Ann? Or is it still too early?
I think it's still too early.
It's a process.
I think it's gonna be better than what we've had though.
I believe it will. Yeah.
No, no, I just need to, stamp and approve those, and brought those up to do while you guys went through those, since I'd already been through them. I left the stamp downstairs though, I think. And it looks like just going through these will fill up that time. I just thought instead of just sitting here, do something constructive. We already approved those a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Do we have claims or payroll?
We do have claims, well, no, we don't. Those are payroll will be next week, since that's due, on the 20th, I think. And then, claims will be also next week, just because Tammy was working with Black Mountain for the switchover, and was also working on getting payroll done with Debbie being gone. So,
Make a motion that we approve journal entries.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the journal, adjusting journal entries for August. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. If I could get those back, I'll put them in a pile to be stamped and approved. Thank you. And we do have a bit of a wait. We have possibly a COS at 11:45. Do you want a copy of these at all? Okay. We'll put them here to be stamped. Is there anything else from you guys at this point?
I don't believe so.
Franklin?
Do so.
Okay, I think what we'll do is maybe recess until 11:45, but before we do, I wanted to just bring up an apology, and I apologize to you and to all of you who are here. I probably should have stepped in a bit sooner with the frustration that we saw from one of our employees this morning. I am going to come to Mike's defense, though. Our employees, whatever decisions we make here, our employees have to take the brunt of that. They need to still give exceptional customer service to the public. They need to still go about doing their jobs. And when we do things by our refusal to work together to put the county first, we put them in a very difficult position. We've had one employee come to us and ask for approval to get a particular piece of equipment he needed. He justified the need, he had the money in his budget, and a couple weeks later, he had one commissioner say, no, I'm not gonna approve that. We put him in a very difficult position in just trying to do his job in that case. This employee, he got pushback. We followed every step we could. We've been trying to be frugal in addressing some emergent needs. And we had people come here with misinformation, who've been misled, who upon leaving at one meeting voiced that they've been misled. And we try and appease everyone, make everyone happy with these decisions. We do have things engineered, but we haven't put together the specs to the point where some of our contractors would like. But that's also due to the planning board stepping forward and saying, all you need to do are the basics, you don't need engineering. Contractors coming forward saying, you don't need engineering. We follow that through with our engineer. He says, no, you can do it without, and this is how you do it. We follow through with that, and we have this happen. What happened for us today with KIF was good to have that brought forward, but Mike's been getting inundated with calls and anger, and that's because of our inability to do our job as efficiently and responsibly as we should. So, I think we need to be more cognizant of our employees from this point moving forward, and a little bit more realistic in what we ask of them. So,
Clear that. What piece of equipment, and
That's
what is
the-
the situation on it?
that's the skid steer that Brian came to us and asked for. We said yes as a unit. He got it, and then he
Oh, well,
was
that's
told,
been-
no, you can't
That's
have it.
been talked about before, and
It has, and it
And
put
that's-
Brian in a very difficult
I don't want to put
position.
him in a bad spot, completely different from what we had discussed and what he even asked for at the time. He said he probably would want to rent one. Well, I'll have to go back through, I got all that
Yeah,
information.
you're
but
making that
anyway-
up.
Anyway, that's it. There's no use arguing with you now, because I know what the situation is.
Yeah, it's in the minutes, it's on YouTube,
You bet.
it's all verifiable. So I use that as an example that we don't
Damn
have
poor
one
example.
employee who's being put in these situations. We have a number, and we need to start being cognizant of that. So, with that, is there any opposition or other opinions to recessing for half an hour to see if we have any COSs?
I'm fine with that.
Franklin?
Fine with me.
All right, we stand recess for 30 minutes.
Could I see a copy of that letter from the planning board?
Here,
Don't be mine.
here, you got one.